Oh,
Okay.
okay. Welcome to our monthly series. Today we are exploring the relationship between the biological, psychological, and social factors influencing mental health outcomes of refugees. I am your host today. My name is Kulegile Ziralala. I am a social worker and works in partnership at Clever Minds of Refugees. Without further ado, we would like to welcome our panelists. Thank you guys for joining the call. Thank you guys for being in this important and really necessary conversation today. So I would like for you guys to introduce yourselves, starting with you, Jonah.
You had to start with me, eh?
You know, you know.
My, okay, my name is Jonah Mokimo. I come from Kenya. I'm a social worker by profession. Working with an organization called Footprints for Change. I'm also a mentor and facilitator with the youths in the community with a program known as the LEAP program, where I mentor and facilitate youths to become leaders who can create solutions to problems that affect them within the community of Madari and the country at large. Yes, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Kuli.
We can move on to Kenya. Kenya. Okay, Yenzile, you can introduce yourself.
Hello everyone. My name is Kosian Zilenkomonye. I
Hello
am
and
from
good morning.
uh,
My name is Kenya. I am a
Kenya.
psychologist. I am honored to join the conversation and I hope to also learn from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenya. Yenzile, you can take over.
Oh yeah. As I said, my name is Kosian Zilenkomonye. I am from Eswatini, a social worker by profession. Um, a social worker involved in youth leadership, youth empowerment, worked in that space for a very long time, still serving that one currently with the Swaziland Youth Empowerment Organization. So I am excited to be part of this call. So yeah, let us fail forward and see what we can learn from each other.
Thank you, Yenzile. Destiny, your mic is on mute.
Yeah, I was asking if I should have to introduce myself. I think everybody in the world knows me. So I'm Destiny by name. I am Destiny by name, and I am the director of Clever Minds of Refugees International worldwide, and I'm a content creator. So actually, a songwriter. Yes, so
Thank you, Destiny. Tony, Tony, are you there? Okay, I think we can move on from that. Tony will introduce himself later. Thank you for your introductions, and we are going to learn from each other, and we are going to raise awareness on mental health and how to address all the biological, the psychosocial, and social factors that are in how they are connected in addressing and improving mental health of refugees. I would like to know what is your understanding on how the biological psychological, and social factors are interconnected, and what influence do they have on mental health of refugees? Kenya.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you get my question?
Sorry, would you mind repeating again? I think I didn't get it quite well.
Oh, okay. I was
Mm-hmm.
saying, what is your understanding on how the biological, psychological, and social factors are interconnected, and what influence do they have on the mental health outcomes of refugees?
Thank you for that. So when we're looking at mental well-being, it's very crucial that we understand when it comes to biological, the environment, it really plays a key role. And when we're looking at the combination between biological and psychological factors, when we talk about biological factors, we're looking at maybe the genes, and these are just things that are
Mm-hmm.
inherently in an individual as they are born. And at times, they predispose you to certain mental health disorders. And actually, possessing certain genetic components makes one vulnerable. Probably they are exposed to a traumatic experience. But these chemicals can also, or maybe then, do I call them the genes? Could also contribute to, the development of mental health disorders. Also, psychologically, when we experience, because when we're looking at refugees, we're looking at individuals who at some point in life might experience a traumatic experience, and this traumatic experience can uncertainty because you're not quite sure if the environment is safe or not unless when you are in a camp where you know you're safe. So at times they're exposed to anxiety, there is a lot of worry. All these factors as well can lead one to be predisposed to mental health disorders, particularly when we're looking at the distress, anxiety, and also PTSD. And now, when we look at the social factors, this is when we're looking at the support network and the relationship how we interact as human beings. So you find that times due to the relocation, the displacement, we have cut ties with friends or maybe family. And this also could lead to mental health issues. So it depends with one individual to the next what factors among the three they could have been predisposed to. But all the same, there are factors which play a key role in mental well-being of refugees. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you, Kenya. Thank you for enlightening us on how these factors link each other so that they can be able to get a positive outcomes on mental health issues, and not only relying on one aspect but looking all the other factors that impact refugees' mental health. So, why in looking into that, we're understanding that people experiencing different different experiences along their journey. So, why is it important for professionals to understand the unique needs of refugees when dealing with mental health issues? This goes to Yenzile Ngomonye.
Okay. Thank you, Kuli, for that opportunity. I think as Kenya alluded,
Yeah.
it is very important that we understand how all these contribute towards each other, forming this huge thing that then causes the problem towards your mental health as a person. I think there's a lot of things that are involved when it comes to refugees, of which all of those
Mm-hmm,
will
mm-hmm.
touch on basically on your mental health as a person. I remember in my undergrad, when we were taught on how to handle clients. One was there was always the overemphasis of treating each case as a unique case. It is very important that you treat every case as a unique case when it comes to counseling, when it comes to trying to deal with issues of mental health, simply because no two cases are the same. What caused the what could be the triggers for client A could not be considered as triggers sometimes for client B. So, as professionals within this field, it is important that we liaise. It is important that we understand this this field holistically. We understand the biological factors, we understand the social impact, we understand the psychological part, so that whenever we try and engage and plan interventions that will try and curb or that will try and mitigate the issues of mental health when it comes to refugees, we come from an informed view which will now speak directly to what this particular individual needs, not what maybe not looking at it from a group perspective, but we look at it individually. So it helps us to be able to be in a position to come up with interventions that will be tailor-made for the problems at hand, so that we do not treat different cases as similar cases, so that we distinguish between cases and ensure that whatever intervention that we come with as professionals working in the field actually serve the purpose that we want it to serve. Yes, that's all.
Thank you, Enzile. There is no size fits all interventions for individuals, and there is plenty of intervention that can be explored, and professionals shouldn't shy away from using their experiences and using their knowledge in employing those interventions when addressing these unique needs of refugees. So, Jonah, meeting the socio-economic and cultural needs of refugees enhances their well-being and successful integration into community. What are some of these challenges that can hinder that?
Thank you, Kuli. I think one of the main challenges that can hinder the social the question was social. Let me just confirm it.
Mhm.
Social, economic, cultural, and psychological needs of refugees could be the aspect of, because in many cases you find that when refugees come to other countries, they do not have economic activities that can sustain them. So those are kind of one of the challenges that affect refugees, because you find they are dependent upon the local governments or the local communities to sustain them, and that doesn't bring an aspect of sustainability. So as maybe as organizations and countries that do host refugees, I can give you an example of a particular person that I met when I was traveling from home to town. So they were sitting next to me, and they were selling screen protectors. I don't know if you know the screen protector that you put on your screen so that when it falls it doesn't break. So those ones
Yeah.
particularly. And in Kenya, I don't want to like sound like stereotypical, but in Kenya, most of the guys who sell those screen protectors and phone accessories mainly come from other countries, more so refugees from Rwanda, guys from Congo, and also Burundi. And if you ask a lot of Kenyans, they will tell you that a strong 7 out of 10 guys who sell those things are of foreign descent. And those are some of the activities that they do to sustain them in the country. So you find that if we do not have a social economical aspect to it in making sure that the refugees have they can generate their own income and come up with financial resources to sustain their family, then that becomes a challenge. And that's how I look at it. And then there's also the aspect of cultural understanding and integration. So we need to recognize that respect the backgrounds of refugees is essential to have successful integration. Because
Can you please mute your mic? Continue, Jonah.
yeah, so we if we recognize and respect the cultural background of refugees, that this is very important because different refugees come from different cultural identities. They come from different countries. Some speak different languages. Some worship different gods. So putting all this into context really helps in overall achieving the overall intended integration that we would want to see within the refugee context. Yeah, I hope I did answer your question, Kuli.
Yes, Jonah, thank you. You touched on the language part. I think that is really crucial in ensuring that we enhance the successful integration of refugees, because that's how we get to learn and understand what they are trying to communicate, and we get to understand their background, their culture through that, and it eliminates stigmas and discriminations to a certain extent. So, what are some of the community interventions that can be used to meet these biological, psychological, and social needs of refugees? Mr. Yenzile.
Please come again. Your question,
Uh,
Kuli.
what are some, yes, some of the community interventions that can be used to meet these needs, the biological, the psychological, and the social needs of refugees in promoting their well-being in those host communities?
I think one of the most important things that any government or any community or any level body of authority can do in trying to prepare, in trying to help refugees. I think the first thing that has to be done has to be the preparation of the community that these people will be put in. Because if
Yeah.
if we do not prepare the people that they are going to be staying with in terms of teaching them and them actually learning how to actually live with people in terms of that will come in, that people will speak a different language. These people will come in and have a different sense of community, have a different way of doing things. So we as organizations working within this space, number one, the governments, two, local authorities of these communities, there has to be programs that will teach people and prepare them thoroughly before you move in refugees. This will enhance in the people being receptive, because one of the crucial challenges in terms of refugees, as I understand, is actually the issue of acceptance. Most people will become refugees because they fled from home because of war, because of economical issues, challenges, right? So if this person is coming into our community and this person is coming from a war zone, they ran from a war zone. So they are seeking refugee. They're seeking refuge because they want peace. They're running away from home because of the war. So if they come into our community now and we start being racist towards them, we start calling them names, we start treating them differently because they do not come from our own communities, that will also ensure that their stress levels go up to an all-time high. Kenya mentioned an important aspect in terms of refugees. The movement themselves create the gap. It makes them detach from a place of comfortability. It also then opens up the void for 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 emotional support. People live in certain communities because they understand each other. There's that level of cohesion within the community itself. So this person moving from one community to another, this then changes everything. So I strongly believe that as communities hosting refugees, we need to be well prepared before refugees move in. And besides that, we also need to have programs that will help them integrate into our society. For as much as they may be having different beliefs and different cultural practices and all, but they also need to be integrated into our societies slowly but surely, allowing them the freedom of choice, even though they don't have much of that, but allowing them the freedom of choice to choose what they want to be, to choose how they want to live their life. So that will also help them, will help them cushion. So as communities, we need to be prepared, and we also need to have interventions or programs that will assist in ensuring that whatever that they ran away from doesn't happen where they are at this point in time, so that whatever they ran or they migrated to achieve, they are able to achieve. This person left Mozambique and came to Eswatini in search for greener pastures. So the communities that are actually become the host community, there should be ways of trying to integrate these people into our society, into our economic structure, so that they are also able to contribute into the economy of the country. We use them while also paying them at the same time. So that way they are able to generate money for themselves and live the lives that they want to lead as refugees of that country. And we also, as communities, need not to shy away from the fact that at some point in time, we also need to consider the issue of citizenship for these people. It is important that at some point in time, should one choose to become a citizen of that country, there are measures put in place, there are rules and regulations put in place that will allow them to be a citizen of that country should they choose. But it should all be in a friendly environment that will actually enable them to have that freedom of choice, that freedom of being, giving them that sense of belonging as a whole, so that their lives change for the better. That would be my take. I hope I answered you well.
Thank you, Yenzile. Thank you so much. Thank you. And what I'm getting from your response is communities need to be prepared. Preparedness is important in receiving refugees, and through that, that can foster uh, better in better integration for refugees. And instead of seeing refugees as needy people, we need to empower them and help them gain their independence back, as the movement itself has caused so much trauma. And we're trying to bring them into a space whereby they feel safe, they feel loved, they can be able to strive and rebuild their lives again. Uh, l- Proceeding to knowing that the movement, sometimes some of these refugees have to move from one country to another. They move, the movement takes longer, and that could be so stressful, and it gets so hard for them to adjust in new cultures. And so, in looking into that, what are some of the impact on mental health refugees from that movement, which has taken so long for them to get the citizenship, to get a host country or a community? There's so much there. So, what are some of these impact on refugees' mental health? Kenya. Kenya, you still there? Jonah, did you get my question?
Come again?
Did you get my question?
You are asking about what are the effects now that the refugees experience as a result of their migration into like different host countries.
Yeah, especially when this movement takes longer, and then they have to move in different countries to get to their destination.
I believe one of the challenges that I see when it comes to the migration of the refugees from like the country to host countries could be now the aspect of for them, because some of the time the migration doesn't take a day, doesn't take a week. Sometimes it takes months. For others, it might take several. And during that process, they get to experience a lot of things. Some might experience abuse, some might experience harsh environmental conditions, some might experience people maybe being killed in the likes of like in the cases of Rwanda when people were migrating to other countries. These are things that they experienced during that time. And I believe for me, it might lead to a lot of cases of PTSD where now you find, because of the exposure that you've been exposed to, like being far from home, not knowing if you're going to leave the next day, not knowing how things are going to be when you get where you want to go, it brings about a lot of post-traumatic stress disorder. And when you find that most of the refugees who do come to the host countries now have a lot of mental issues in line with that, and those are things that maybe might affect them mentally to a point where they're now kind of like lost and in dire despair of need of help. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why we see that we need to have the psychosocial support, where before we integrate this person into the community, there are certain aspects, there are certain traumas this person has faced that needs to be addressed, that needs to be talked about. They need to heal first before now we talk about them being integrated into the workforce. We talk about them working in our industries and all that. There are those aspects. So I believe that's could be one of the challenges that these people do face, and it's very very hard. Yeah.
Thank you, Jonah. I would love to hear Destiny's view on that. Your mic is on mute, Destiny.
Okay. I think I will start with the migration of the refugee who have migrated from Africa to Europe, because when you check the distance from the desert, Sahara Desert to Libya, is a very long distance, which take many weeks before people could be able to arrive
Mm-hmm.
in Libya. And when people that is traveling from the West Africas, they don't have mainly basically one route to travel to Libya. Most of them pass through Niger. So before somebody from Senegal, Gambia, and Mali could be able to migrate from this West Africa to Niger through land, through desert, that take a whole lot of hours. Even sometimes people spend 3 days just to migrate from Senegal to Niger, just to board from Niger to Libya. So if you check of those distance, already people have been under trauma just traveling from waiting the Senegal to Niger. So when we all arrive in Niger, then you will come and check the impact it will have on people traveling from Niger. Then you now head to Agadez, which is the capital of Niger. Then when you came to Agadez, then before you start thinking of leaving from Agadez and embark on a total journey of over 4,000 miles, then, and those miles are the thing that you are not going to be fleeing from up. You are going to be walking, you are going to be running, and you are going to be sleeping, and you are going to get lost and come back again. So when you check of all those things, how impact many refugees, you will come and see that most of 99% of many refugees that migrate from Africa to basically Europe, because I will love to use most community in Europe as an example, because I think it's more traumatic to compare with those that migrate within the African continent, because
Mm-hmm.
it's very traumatic. Many people are being traumatized, psychologically affected, and emotionally affected from the route alone, from Africa down to Libya, from Libya being capitally enslaved in Libya. Most of them are being kidnapped. So those places we are being like kind of traumatized. Most people are being traumatized mentally, psychologically, emotionally, only within the route of the migrating. So we have not come to the new base where we say, okay, this is a society, that this is a community that is hosting us. Then when we now finally arrive in a certain country, then you see the influence of the community that house in many refugees. Like, for instance, like in Germany, you see that the high of racism in Germany is very high. The chances of learning the culture in Germany is being abolished, the chances of being like kind of being part of integration courses are very high. So refugees are not being given chance for all those things that can be able to let them forget about that trauma. So
Mhm.
many people have that trauma. Many people have that trauma built. Those trauma that many majority of refugees face during this migration are inside them, building and growing tremendously without any intervention from the society or the community of where we live in our new home, in many people's base. So when you come to Germany, you will find that there is no even health care. People lack health care. People lack integration. People lack cultural experiences. So when you see of all those things and you come to see the daily racism that is impacting many of us, which is triggering those emotions that many of us face during our migration, during migrating from Africa to Europe. So those things brought them out because number one is many 199% of many refugees that migrate to Europe don't have the access to healthcare, doesn't have access to psychologists, doesn't have access to do anything that will make them happy. Because when we come to the elements of what makes people can be able to surpass trauma and psychological illness, is number one is happiness. Number two is being exposed to a society that realize that you are a human being. But being a part of living in a society whereby you are not being in a regardment of a humans, they see you as non-existence. So I think those things are being contributed to many people facing psychology and trauma illness in many society that we live here in Europe. For example, like I've often used myself as an example. When I came to live here in Germany, then I choose that I'm living in the community of Bamberg. I think where you guys came, I think you guys heard about Bamberg of a thing. So when we came here, we are not allowed to visit psychologists because we are illegal migrants. We are not allowed to adapt their culture to mingle with people outside the camp where we are living. So we are being um, deprived of having even a tablet that can help us to have a kind of to calm our brain down or to give us a good night sleep. So we are being deprived from many things that could able to help us. So this is the reason why majority of people that you see that is living in camp in most society in Germany is more depressed than most refugees that you see in Africa. Because when we come to see the refugees here, we are totally living out of the planet. So here there is nothing like integration. There's nothing like psychologists, like when people say that yes, visiting a psychologist and the work, the art of being help of a psychologist. I don't, it was not even long that I know the meaning of psychologist because we are being forbidden to visit psychologists. Many refugees that it is not all the community in Germany, but basically in Bavaria. When you migrate to Bavaria, then you don't know what is psychologist, but you are dying in silence. You are having this mental illness, psychological illness, and many of the things that being generated from the act of migrating from your country to this country. So I think with the help of many organizations, psychologists, and many solidarity that start helping people, then many of us start grabbing the opportunity to visit psychologists, where we came to realization how important to visiting of psychologists and visiting a kind of um, specialists and sociologists, how important they are in the life of many refugees that fled their home, because only the travel alone is enough reason for somebody to be broke down by mentally and emotionally. So I think how the society could be able to help people is at least abolishing this this element of a thing that deprive people from having the link of visiting psychologists and visiting specialists, because I think the first thing that every refugee should do when departing from his home and living in a new home, as far as he or she have that spirit of migration on them, the first thing that I think that they should do is visit a psychologist, because physically and mentally, practically and technically, it grows in us, because we have faced a lot of things from the journey, and come to live in a society whereby we don't have that access to visit any kind of specialist or any kind of psychologist, or even visit some kind of communities or kind of um organization that even give counseling, to even have a counseling of mental health, have counseling or psycho, how it function in people's life, is being totally been deprived from many refugees that lives here in Europe. So I think for us, striving so hard for such opportunity to being granted for many refugee, to have that link, to know
Mhm.
when and how to visit doctor, or any kind of thing, any kind of illness, depending on where they are living, is going to be great impact in the community of many refugees.
Thank you, Destiny. Thank you so much. I'm just like recalling from one of the journey that you told us when we first met, and I'm trying to link it from what you're saying, and I understand that there is more trauma along the way, and trying to find get to your destination. um, but communities can always try to make things better for us or for refugees to be able to strive and deal with all the trauma they have faced along the way. As we are looking into the biological, the psychological, and the social factors, I want to understand, why is it important to collaborate with other professions in tackling mental health issues amongst refugees? Yenzile Ngomonye.
Sorry, my mic was off. But yes,
Can I
Kuli.
see you? Can I see you?
Yes, you will see me right now. I think my network is acting up, so I'm trying to cut down on bandwidth, but it will come around. So yes, it is important. Collaboration is very important in any field. You go
Mhm.
anywhere, you need to collaborate. We cannot overemphasize the importance of collaboration. Destiny has mentioned quite a mouthful in terms of the gaps that are caused by the lack of collaboration in terms of handling
Yeah.
refugees. The example of them being overseas. So the government just takes them and puts them in a camp. They are feeding them, yes, but there's other issues that need serious attention. The issue of their mental health. So, because the government is not even collaborating with organizations that deal with these things, that know the importance of taking in social workers or even psychologists into these camps, because there's no collaboration there, then this particular service that is very much important is missing. So it is important that as professionals within the field of mental health, we do collaborate, because some of the issues that we deal with in terms of in as far as refugees are concerned cannot be solved by us,
Mhm.
but can really be solved by friends of ours. Let's make a typical example. The
Yes.
person is here, we are attending to the person, the government as a stakeholder is given a refugee camp, right? So we come in as clever minds of refugees. We are an independent organization. What are we bringing in? We're bringing in the social workers and the psychologists to ensure that we capacitate the mind of this person to try and bring them into good mental health. But then this person at some point in time needs a job. This person needs education. Then that is when we need to collaborate with other organizations that will come in and teach them the skill of starting their own business. That is when we'll need to collaborate with other organizations that will come in with that small fund grant that will enable Destiny to start his own business so that this person now thrives. We need to attack mental health holistically. So, but at this point in time, the issue is we are not attacking holistically. So, we are only looking at it from one perspective. Then that is when the issue of collaboration becomes very crucial and very important. It is important that we collaborate because we do not do everything. So rather
Yeah.
we, instead of trying to act almighty and everything, knowing that we know everything, but rather we engage the professionals in that field. We know nothing in as far as arts are concerned. Let's bring in an organization that does art. We know not much in terms of healthcare. So let's bring in the organizations that deal with that. Let's bring in the organization that teach business. Let's bring in the organization that are connected to funders, that are connected to seed grants that would assist this person. Collaboration, very key. At this point in time, this is the collaboration itself. We have Destiny up in Germany, there's Congo in Kenya, there's me in Eswatini. We are collaborating because we need ideas. We need to share what we know. We need to share how we've seen things, how things should be done. And then in that manner, we become the best for the clients that we want to serve. That would be my take.
Thank you, Yenzele. Uh, I want to highlight on the fact that we use one-sided approach, whereby people focus on mental health alone, whereby sometimes there are health issues. There are also social factors that contribute to the mental health of an individuals. If professionals neglect that, it's high chances of this intervention not working out are high due to that there are other pending issues that were not addressed from the get-go. So thank you so much, Yenzele. Uh, as you were speaking on that, we understand that there are complex relationships we understand the relationship of the three factors that we're speaking about today: biological, psychosocial, psychological, and social factors. Uh, but what are the outcomes if a professional really understand the relationship? What are we expecting to get out of it? What is the outcome of ensuring that a professional understand all three aspects and how they should be administered to that individuals? What are the outcomes in developing mental health approaches? Mr.
Mm,
Jonah Convoy.
yeah, I believe once we get all three aspects of the social aspect, the psychological,
Mhm.
I think it'll be more of like a holistic approach in how we address the issues of refugees, so that we are not leaning towards one aspect of the refugees issues that are affecting them, but more of we're like now addressing it in a more of like a holistic approach. So a person is able to get resources that will enable them to like fend for themselves. A person is also able to get psychological help that might be issues with trauma and PTSD, and then also the social aspect of it, where now the community that this person is integrated in has been educated and is welcoming, and the aspect of the person's culture is also put into context, because now we have the aspect of, if so, for example, if I'm from Kenya, there are certain foods that I do not that I am used to. There are certain cultural practices that I am used to, and then if I migrate to another country, then there's that issue that how accepting are they of my cultures, of my customs, of my beliefs. So that's the whole holistic point of like looking at the whole three pillars that we are talking about here. It's that it brings a whole holistic intervention, and now we'll find that the refugees are looked at better and are able to integrate even faster and more easily. Yeah, so that's, I think that's one of the importance of having that, of understanding the synergy between the three.
Thank you, Mr.
Sorry,
Jonah.
sorry, Kuli, before you jump in, I think I would also want to add something to what Jonah has said. I think for me, understanding all three of these aspects would mean having the dream team. You know, the dream team.
Sorry?
It would mean having the dream team in terms in as far as
Yeah.
addressing mental health issues for refugees are concerned. It means to me having a one shop stop for everything, because the moment you understand the correlation to the correlation between these things, the better for you to understand how everything emanates and how everything has to be eradicated from the root, not from a top. Because if you miss one of these things, in fact, one needs to understand that everything affects everything. Everything is attached to everything, especially these three aspects: your psychological, your biological, and your social factors. They are related. In every case that you will attend, one will be the cause of the other one, and the other one will be the trigger for the other one. So understanding all three of those will put us in a better position to be able to draw better outcomes, to be in a position to be able to draw better interventions that will directly speak to the problem at hand and sort it out as quickly as possible.
Thank you, Jorda. Thank you, Yenzile, for such an informative aspect. Thank you so much. I'd like to add on that these interventions should be solely be for the benefit of the individual. Let's not apply the same intervention for every refugee. Let's try to look into all these factors, how they can interplay with one another, so that we can come up with um, a best suited intervention for a person. So we have reached the end of our discussion. I would like to thank you guys for being on the call. Thank you guys for such an informative discussion. Thank you, thank you, Destiny, specifically Destiny, for coming through for us at last minute. You are the best. I would like for you guys to share your closing remarks. Yenzile,
Why started with me? Why not Jonah?
closing remarks. Just say two words and move on to Jonah. And then even Jonah said the same thing earlier.
Okay, it's fine. I'll go first. To Clever Minds of Refugees, thank you for this opportunity to have this wonderful discussion. Kuli, thank you for hosting it. We are hoping it grows bigger and better. As for Destiny and your team, continue the work that you are doing. At some point in time, more soldiers will be saved. The issue of mental health in connection to refugees is a delicate one that we as believers society need to take it more seriously and pay more attention towards, because people do not become refugees by choice. They are pushed by circumstances, sometimes circumstances beyond their control. So it would be nice to actually find a way to cushion them and make their lives a little bit better. I've always said to people here at home, Destiny, you will never really understand what it means to be. You will never understand that whatever you're doing is you're not supposed to be doing when you are being racist, unless you get out of your comfort zone. It is only unless you leave the borders of Eswatini then that you will be the minority in an area, and then you will know what it means. I remember. I remember Tina shouting on top of her voice, "Always have your passport with you. We're gonna go and fix the police station." And you're thinking to yourself, why do I need to be carrying a passport to be going around town? Then that's the issue of racism and around being in a place where you are not. Being a refugee uproots you from a lot of things. It uproots you from familiar settings. It uproots you from your mechanical solidarity, which is your community that cushions you whenever you are in time of need. Being a refugee, the migration itself takes its toll. Destiny was alluding on that, and it has a lot of factors that are happening on the way. I also believe that it takes away time. What the one aspect that we can never bring back, time. One tends to spend a lot of time on the road and trying to set themselves up in this new environment, and dreams are lost, hope diminishes. But at the end of the day, the refugees need to keep on fighting. They need to keep on the spirit of moving forward. I respect their decision to take to move. It is one of the bravest ever. I don't know what would happen in my heart if I'd have to be faced with that one. So, to the refugees around the world, we are with you. We feel your pain. We share your pain. We understand. But my request would be: do not give up whenever it feels like the days are not the days are not there, and the nights are longer. Just keep on fighting. Remember why you started, and the reward at the end of the day will definitely be there. Thank you.
John.
Yeah, I think Yenzile said a lot, and maybe just to echo a few things. I think one of the things that I'd like to thank you guys for is creating that voice for refugees. In countries in a world where everyone is out looking for themselves, we also need to be there for those who cannot be able to speak out for themselves. So this is a very good platform, creating the awareness that is required for refugees. More so when it comes to also mental health in itself is a topic that is really looked down upon. Now connecting to the refugees, it's a very big topic, and I think more can be said and discussed around the same. So I think my final remarks is that one thing that will pass the test of time is love. I think we should, as a community, as a world, as a country, we should seek to love each other and love one another, despite where they're coming from or who they are. I think love overrides everything. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you, Jonah. Destiny, do you have something to say?
I think
Closing remarks?
I think I would love to say something like I think the issue of mental health is a very kind of
Mm-hmm.
crucial and paramount, and also very kind of a very large topic when it comes to refugee, because I came to realize that that is the major problem and one of the most critical problem that we all face as that as most people who have refugee background in mostly living in Europe and also living in Africa, because with this mental health, with our experience traveling as a refugee, and to the thing that we exposed to the kind of society that we exposed to in Europe and in our new homes, is also kind of making everything get worse. And also, I will also like to use this our very medium to like kind of urge many organization who based on mental health organization to take it very serious and very kind of very serious. When I say serious, that means I don't have any word to replace seriousness, because if this word of mental health is being taken serious among the many refugees, I think it's going to help a lot of refugees to regain their stamina, to regain their own kind of dreams and everything, because it's a kind of battle, endless battle that many refugees are having in Europe. Number one, if you are a refugee in Europe, you don't have to think of your dream. You don't have to think of your goals as a human. You don't have to think of having a wife. You don't have to think of having a boyfriend, whatever. You have to only think of eradicating the mental health that you are having, the mental psychology and everything that you are having as a that you have been subjected to, exposed to daily in your daily living. So I'm always using all our series to urge the mental health organization to be, to find a better solution, to work with many of us who have refugee backgrounds, and also because many of them doesn't have that link to come or to go to this organization in their self. They only have a link or kind of recommendation. So how can we do it? I think is we have to bring out a strategy that we can be able to be going to, at least even if it's not a refugee camp, then it should be a question, or we should establish online platform like something like this, whereby we can be able to sending out and giving out information on so person who have it should be able to contact us so that they can be able to be helped, or being even counseling a refugee is a very kind of massive help to them. We can also issue out and volunteer within ourselves to counsel them, to give them an advice on them, because many of them are being confused. They don't know what to do. Many of them have future dreams, but now they are not thinking about their dream. They are thinking of how to get rid of their challenges, their physical challenges and their mental challenges. So we urge ourselves, every one of us in this platform today, and both the viewers, like to kind of put more put more effort on it so that we can get as much as we could from the refugee community. Because I always speak from my perspective, because I was a refugee before. I've passed through so many things, and also those things that I've passed through is still living inside of me. So like I told you guys when you guys visited in Germany, that the only therapy that I took was to be a creative person, and to subject myself with so many kind of things, with different kind of society, like Farafinas, like many others. So those are the only therapy that I could be able to take based on the kind of community that I was living in. So I think with us, Jonah is there, Kuli is there, and I think we all have the experience. Even if I didn't study it in school, with my own
Yeah.
experience, rather as a refugee, I could be able to advise somebody what to do and what not to do for him or her to be able to escape trauma and psychological dysfunctioning. You understand? So now we are planning to visit Kenya soon, and I will likely to invite Jonas to be fully in part of us, because we have a lot of activities, and this mental health issue is going to also be the most thing that we are going to do. So thank you.
Amazing. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
glad that I'm glad that you invited Jonah. He owes me something. So
yeah.
he'll get the opportunity to.
No, to facilitate that.
So that is it, bro.
Thank you guys for joining us. I think this is the end of our call, and see you in Kenya, Jonah.
Can't wait to see you. See you in Kenya.
See you in Kenya in 3 months or in 2 months time or in a month's time.
Yeah,
Amazing.
he owes me
We'll be
something. He knows. He knows.
Don't worry, I'm going to bring him to the table, so you will hold him by his trouser.
Yes. Yeah. I
I'll be
think
paid.
we're done, and I am battery low.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you can stop the recording now, and bye, guys. I need to charge my phone.